Siomra beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast taking a pop at culture.
Sure look, sure listen. Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen. Oh, very good, Benjamin. We're back after our Christmas break in the new year of 2023. And it's Tuesday.
It's a bloody Tuesday. What are we doing here during the week?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand it. But you came up with some logical reason, Benjamin, about trailer release schedules and how big Marvel will always making the absolute fool of us.
They were intentionally, Michael, maliciously setting out to make us look like a pair of tits.
But sure, look, Ben, we don't have time for any of that complaining because we've lots to look at this week, including Gotham Knights and what is the obsession with Batman without Batman, Velma, Ben, controversy and character changes, and Extraordinary, an Irishman Suspense special. And we've seen the trailer for Beau is Afraid, which seems very gripping, Benjamin.
Sure, listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough, and to quote a classic line, Michael, bloody isn't.
Bloody isn't, for a weekly pop culture podcast.
Michael.
Every Tuesday.
Michael, something happened in November of this year. Right?
Go on. Yeah.
There was a TV show that came out that was supposed to come out in October, almost definitely, and we'll never know why it didn't. But we got
Halloween.
We got Wednesday, Michael. And the response to Wednesday globally, Michael, has been nothing short of astounding.
A social media sensation.
A sensación, Michael.
As they say in Spain.
As they say in Spain. So we're going to take a look at that, Michael, and then we're going to take a look at why is Goth so hot right now? What's going on?
What's going on with it? Why is it so hot? But first, Benjamin.
Yeah.
We have to have a look at the current Justin Roiland controversy.
Oh, I know, Michael. Jesus.
This is very bad news for you, Benjamin. Because, as you remember, several years ago, you personally said, actually, look, there's no point in me describing it. We have a voice clip, so I might as well roll the voice clip now. Oh, geez, Mick. I'd support Justin Roiland for anything that he did. No matter what it was. No matter what he did, I'd support him. He just seems like a real solid guy. That's the end of that clip, Benjamin.
I wish you hadn't played that real and factual clip of my voice. That's a real shame. That's a real shame, Michael. Yeah, look, hold no idols, Michael.
Just don't hold them.
Praise no gods. Don't be doing it. Don't be doing it.
The bloody bowler will roll down a hill after you.
So come here to me, Michael. Justin Roiland has currently been charged with domestic violence and is facing the serious incarceration time of 7 years, Michael.
That's America, though, isn't it? You could get more time in America for domestic violence than you would for shooting someone. That's
probably true, Michael. If he'd shot his partner, he'd probably be grand.
Yeah, just ask Oscar Pistorius, allegedly.
The other thing that's come out this very day, Michael.
On Monday, Ben.
On
when we're recording this.
Monday, the day before. And it's just as well we did, Michael. Can you imagine if we'd done this on Sunday and the story hadn't gotten worse?
Oh, yeah.
We'd be
you would have been
miles
saying,
behind.
oh, man, I'd support Justin Roiland in anything.
Yeah, that would be me. Definitely, factually, obviously. Come here to me. There have been screenshots unearthed, Michael, of Justin Roiland talking to a 15-year-old in a way that no grown adult man should talk to a 15-year-old.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Look.
Oh, jeez, Ben.
He's a fucking dirtbag, and that's the end of Rick and Morty.
Oh, jeez. Now, Benjamin, we live in a system wherein you are innocent until proven guilty, and I think so does Justin Roiland.
Yeah, all right, fine. But if I was hardcore supporting him before, Michael, I'll hardcore support his incarceration too.
Exactly, yeah, if he did it. if it turns out that he did it, which it seems like he may have done.
Yeah.
And that's all we're going to say on that.
From one cancelling of a human being to another cancelling of a human being, Michael. Velma, we got a trailer.
You've skipped over Gotham Knights, Ben.
I skipped. Damn it.
You've gone to a lot of effort, Ben. You've created this whole system with the notion and the whole running order, and then you've just ignored it from the very first segment.
Speaking of one shit show to another,
Very good.
we got a trailer, Michael, inexplicably for Gotham Knights.
Why, Ben? Why is this happening?
So I have a theory.
Go on.
I have a theory. There is currently a video game that was released just pre-Christmas called Gotham Knights.
A big hit, Ben.
No, not really, Michael. Quite unpopular.
A bit of a flop, Ben.
A bit of a flop, but I think this was designed to coincide with that because this is coming to us from the sexy, silly people over at the CW.
Oh, the CW. The C... Oh, I can't think of anything funny for CW, Ben.
The cute hooers.
The cute hooers over at the CW, Ben. Benjamin, who is asking for the 6th Batman show without Batman? Who wants it? Who keeps asking for it, Benjamin? Have we not had enough? Did we not learn our lesson with the late 90s Birds of Prey?
Michael, this is like a carbon copy of the bloody Teen Titans TV
Benjamin,
show.
did we not learn our lesson with the Teen Titans? Did we not learn our lesson with Gotham, Benjamin? Just a couple of weeks ago that was on.
But do you know what's even more heinous this time, Michael? At least when you're watching Teen Titans, right? You've got, there's my boy Robin. There he is. Look at him.
Yeah, he's popular. He's a popular character.
There's fan favourite character Starfire.
Oh, yeah.
There she is. What's that? A gothy little witch called Raven. There she is.
I've seen her in the cartoon show Teen Titans Go.
Yes, that we all grew up with and we're given a chance with. And, it was great. It was great, Michael. But this time they've gone, do you know what would be even better?
Yeah, go on.
What if we set it in a fictional universe where Batman had a son, right? Yeah. And the Joker had a daughter.
Yeah.
And,
or did she?
Or did she? We don't know. And what would happen, Michael, if we just took a bunch of no-name characters and made them up for a show called Gotham Knights? That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Great stuff. That'd be great stuff, Benjamin. Now, I feel like you've forgotten that the real show that really exists, Pennyworth, exists.
Oh, yeah, Pennyworth is real.
We're always forgetting about Pennyworth, Ben, because we keep thinking it's not real because no one has ever seen it.
I don't think it is real, Michael. What do they call it? What do the kids call it? A Mandela effect.
It's a Mandela effect. Because you spelled Nelson Mandela incorrectly. Benjamin,
yes.
Pennyworth is still the nadir as far as I'm concerned in terms of why don't you just make a show about something else other than Batman's butler's dad? Just make a cool, weird spy British 60s thing. Do a serious Austin Powers. Just do it that way. Or why don't you make a show about Batman's adopted son and Harvey Dent's adopted daughter, who might be the Joker's daughter, and then set up the trailer in such a way as to have it appear that a harmless teenage girl has killed Batman, not because that's the actual plot of the show, but just to stoke the fire of alt-right internet hatred. Yeah, because nothing sells a show like alt-right internet hatred. People absolutely love it, Ben. The alt-right internet is just going, a girl wouldn't kill Batman. How could a girl kill Batman? She couldn't do it. Batman would have prep time. You'd have prep time? Batman with prep time can beat anybody? Batman would have considered that eventuality, so I think you're wrong. Benjamin, who's this little boy that Batman has adopted? I don't know. It's a little boy. He's adopted a little boy. He appears to be quite good with a sword. Oh, mad shit. Why? Why, Benjamin? Now, I mean, the ins and outs of it, we know why. We actually know that Batman is one of the top 3 highest money generating superhero characters of all time. Now, that might be old news now that the MCU has gotten so big, but like, Batman makes money. Yeah, alright. And it obviously kills Warner Brothers that so much of them is tied up in movies that they just can't get a Marvel juggernaut money making ball rolling on. Yeah. And they're just trying to milk that IP for everything it's worth. Every last penny worth. There's a TV show, Benjamin, about his butler's dad. Yes, I know. I just made a penny worth joke. Every penny's worth. Yes. I'm just absolutely horrified that I didn't notice that. I prostrate myself in front of you, Benjamin, with apology. That was one of the greatest jokes of our times. And I just steamrollered over it. That's all I want. Look, you can steamroll away, Michael. We've things to be talking about. It's grand. But come here to me. What is it? Why do they keep doing Batman without Batman? because I just explained it, Ben.
Oh, yeah.
It's money making and tied up in legal rights for movies and TV shows.
The other thing that must be so frustrating is we know that a slate of DC shows and franchises have been cancelled by Warner Brothers recently, but somebody somewhere went, I'll leave that one in though.
Leave that one. Cancel Batgirl, but leave in the one about Bruce Wayne's adopted son, a little boy, a little small fella, and the Joker's daughter, who might also be Harvey Dent's daughter.
Oh, also, don't forget about that convicted felon that we have in a Fast Running Man movie. Leave him in as well. Leave them in as well, excuse me.
Get him in there.
It's
yeah,
the
get
Flash.
them in there, yeah. Oh, yeah. But, on the other hand, Benjamin, it does have Misha Collins, and the internet loves Misha Collins.
The internet loves Misha Collins.
Mad for him, Ben.
It's probably... He's not Commissioner Gordon, surely, is he?
He's Harvey Dent, apparently.
Oh, get out of town. Why is half your face fine, Misha?
His full face is fine because he's a very handsome fella, Benjamin. It's classic, like, late 90s thing of like, oh, we can't make this character scarred because it's handsome actor Misha Collins.
Maybe he's going to get scarred by the end of the season, Michael. Calling it now. Putting money on the table now. He's going to be the villain twist for season 2.
Because, Benjamin, Harvey Dent famously only gets his two-faced appearance after Batman is killed.
Yeah, famously, Michael. Not actually a Batman villain, a post-Batman villain.
Post-Batman villain. He's the villain of Batman's adopted son, the Little Boy. That's his superhero name. Oh no, the Little Boy is coming to get us. Watch out, it's the Little Boy.
Oh no, a little boy is chasing us.
Not a little boy, Benjamin, the Little Boy.
And
that's his superhero identity.
It has to be the definite article. Okay.
Yeah, when he finally gets a suit in season 4, it'll just have TLB across his chest.
Michael, speaking of inexplicable decisions.
Yes, go on, what is
that
it?
no one can fathom. We also got a trailer while we were on our hiatus for Velma.
Benjamin, it's out.
It's out. I haven't. Oh, damn it! We should have watched some.
It's out.
Did you watch some?
It's out. Yeah.
All right. Tell me
It's
more.
no good.
It's no good. Apparently,
it's one of the worst things that's ever been on television. It's inexplicably bad.
So once again, Michael, you kind of have to marvel at the the thought process that went here, because this is very similar to our main topic this week. Someone somewhere said,
yes,
you know, the Addams Family that people love from the 90s.
Benjamin, now,
click.
people don't love the Addams. I'm just going to cut across you there. People don't love the Addams Family from the 90s.
Okay.
People love the Addams Family from the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
Remember, your generation, Benjamin, who grew up in the 90s, that was your reboot.
Oh, yeah.
And the original fans didn't really like that. They're like, oh, I'm not really sure about this version of the Addams Family. It's not my Addams Family.
That's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And Benjamin, I've said this 100 times on this podcast before, but the only way to tell is the test of time.
Well, that's what's so interesting here, Michael. So somebody came up with the decision and said, what if we just did it about Wednesday?
Yeah.
What if we just did that? And what if we removed other fan favourites and just went with Wednesday?
Yeah, we can't have a Pugsley.
We will have a Pugsley, but he'll be a bit of a milksop.
Yeah, we won't have Herman Munster.
No, because that would be a different franchise.
Which franchise?
That would be the Munsters.
Oh, is Herman Munster from the Munsters?
Yes.
I thought he was from the Addams Family.
No, that's Lurch.
Oh, you can't have Grandpa Dracula.
Again, wrong franchise.
What's that from?
The Munsters.
My Grandpa's a Dracula. Oh, the Munsters. I thought it was from.
Classic
I thought it was
50s
from
sitcom. My Grandpa's a Dracula.
Oh, jeez, my grandfather's a Dracula.
Yeah,
and I'm texting teenagers.
If Justin Roiland was a free man, he'd be furiously taking notes in the corner right now.
Benjamin, what has Wednesday got to do with what we're talking about? Have we said it's Velma yet?
So, Michael, Velma, we've said it's Velma. We're all right.
Okay.
So, Michael, someone has turned around and gone, oh, do you know that beloved cartoon from the 60s? Which one? You know, the one with the big, lovable dog, the cowardly dog, and the stoner? Oh, yeah. Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
What if we
Courage
just...
the cowardly dog.
What if we just got rid of the dog?
Get rid of him.
Just fuck it.
He's a noose around our neck.
And what if we changed the race of everybody in it?
Yes.
Changed the name of one of the most beloved characters of all time.
Most beloved pop culture characters of all time.
Called him Norville, but it's okay because that was his original Christian name.
And he's a Christian boy.
And he's a Christian, but not the little boy. That's on our other inexplicable property.
Coming to get you. The little boy is coming to get you.
So, and then, why don't we make it an adult comedy?
Adult comedy.
Why don't we do that? And that's Velma, Michael. Mindy Kaling has been allowed to make this into a bizarre, snarky thing.
And your take on this, Benjamin, is that she shouldn't have been allowed.
My take on it is the whole show shouldn't have been allowed, regardless of Mindy Kaling's involvement. It's a bizarre choice, Michael.
It's fucking weird, is what it is. It's now. I don't feel justified in judging it on one episode, especially a pilot episode, and especially when it sets out that it's the origin of Mystery Inc.
Okay, well, there's a puppy in the future then, isn't there?
Well, there's probably a puppy in the future, and Fred will probably stop being so obnoxious in the future, and Norville will presumably grow his hair and start being called Shaggy.
And become white over time.
Yeah, and, you know, I don't know.
No.
It doesn't bother me. Like, it really didn't bother me, the race changing. Who cares?
No, it doesn't matter.
Like,
it doesn't matter in the slightest.
An Indian Velma and a white Velma mean nothing to me. A half Asian Daphne or a completely Caucasian Daphne, I don't care. But the point of it is mean-spirited, and not fun and not funny, and like it's almost as far departed from Scooby-Doo as Rick and Morty is from the animated Back to the Future show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the origin of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Was let's make as obnoxious a take on Back to the Future as we possibly can.
Yeah, that'll go well.
And this feels like that, but like officially sanctioned.
I cannot fathom this.
You just can't fathom it, Ben.
It's so interesting to me why that would be your choice. Why not make it a parody series? Why not make it a full on like, we're bloody Enigma and Co.
Incorporated.
Do you know what I mean? Enigma and Co. would be fine. And then you do a complete piss take on the Scooby-Doo series, a la the Venture Brothers or something like that. I suppose it's already been done in the Venture Brothers, but you know.
They have a cat.
They have a cat, and it's a sarky cat, and it's actually quite bulgy and brave. Like, do that.
Yeah.
We're actually going to pitch this to Warner Brothers directly after this podcast, Michael.
Then start taking notes in your Notion.
But what has fascinated me most about this, Michael, is Mindy Kaling is not the beloved Indian American I thought she was.
Go on.
She is currently receiving just a giant backlash from the Indian American community and the Indian community at large. She's considered to be a self-loathing Indian woman because all of her jokes come at racial expense of her own.
Oh, well, look, I don't think I've ever had a conversation where I didn't call myself a potato, so...
It's true, but I think a lot of people have had enough of it. It's like the Indian characters are more than just a joke about how unattractive we are as people. She's in the middle of a big old backlash, Michael. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird one, Ben. It's a bloody weird one. Look, Benjamin, it's interesting that you like the Scooby-Doo cartoon show from the 90s. I think the definitive Scooby-Doo is the weirdly inappropriately sexy early 2000 films by James Gunn.
They're weirdly inappropriately sexy. Why are they so sexy?
Why are they? Because James Gunn wrote them, Ben.
Why is Sarah Michelle Gellar? Why is Sarah Michelle Gellar in a big tight sexy outfit? What's going on?
Yeah. It's everyone's very sexy in those.
There's no need.
Even
Freddie Prinze
even
Jr.
Norville is very sexy.
Is causing some waves.
It's inappropriately sexy, Ben, and although there is nudity in the cartoon, or implied nudity.
Implied nudity.
Yeah. It's no use. Anyway, look, it'll flash in a pan, Ben.
Look,
it's internet controversy, and it'll go away and it'll disappear into the ether as they so often do.
But again, Michael, that was allowed. That survived the WB Cull.
That survived the WB Cull. They said get rid of Batgirl, but what we want to keep is this Scooby-Doo parody show.
I'd say they're kicking themselves now post Brendan Fraser just being stratospherically celebrated in award season because he was the villain in the Batgirl series, and I'd say they're just there going, oh fuck.
It was a movie, Ben. It was a movie. He was Firefly.
Still, I'd say they're there going, oh Fuck.
We should have kept Brendan Fraser in that.
That would have been great. Anyway. Speaking
Benjamin.
of superheroes in unusual locales.
Exactly. This was my favourite trailer that you sent me this week.
Michael, this was a joyous trailer, wasn't it? It's it.
Great stuff altogether, Benjamin. We're talking about extraordinary, Benjamin.
Yeah.
And it's a world where superheroes are real
Yeah.
and everyone gets powers.
Everybody.
And if you don't get powers, you're sent to the mines under the moon by the royal family.
Yeah.
No, that's the Inhumans. I was thinking of Marvel's The Inhumans. My apologies.
It's an easy mistake to make, Michael. In this world, it's kind of Fleabag meets Marvel.
Go on.
So we follow a young Irish woman.
A young Irish lass.
A young
then,
Irish
wee
lass.
bairn.
And the poor wee lass hasn't got a power.
Oh, be the hokey smokes.
And it's Sex and the City meets Skins meets Fleabag with Marvel's special effects budget.
Is it set in Ireland, Ben?
It looks to be set in London.
Is it set in London?
Because there's a lot of
Irish
people with English accents that aren't Irish.
Oh, they're at it again, are they, Ben?
And it actually looks quite funny, Michael. I thought it looked very good.
I thought it looked good from the trailer, for sure.
It's out next week, I believe. And it looks like a fascinating kind of take on the Girl Meets World comedy format, but with the added edge of superpowers.
Benjamin, speaking of extraordinary Irishman suspense, and it's not on either of our lists this week, have you seen or heard anything about the movie Let the Wrong One In?
What have I told you about adding things to this running order
I
mid-episode?
know, but this has only come up in the last 5 minutes. Have you seen or heard anything about it?
You're getting a spray in the face when I'm done with this. I'm getting the little cat bottle. What?
Oh, no, not the cat bottle full of water and orange
fuck's
juice.
name is Let the Wrong One In?
Let the Wrong One In, Ben, is an Irish film about two young fellas and their brothers, Benjamin, and one of them gets bitten by a vampire and starts becoming a vampire.
Oh, Michael, I saw the poster for this in the Savoy Cinema on O'Connell Street.
Oh, yeah, that's where it would be. It's coming out this week, Benjamin, and the brother who isn't bit by a vampire decides to try and train himself to deal with vampires, and he only goes and finds a mentor, Benjamin, in the form of vampire fiction legend Anthony Head.
What?
And it's set in Dublin, Ben. It's two Dublin lads dealing with one of them becoming a vampire with Giles.
Michael, we're going to the cinema.
It's out this week and neither of us have ever heard of it. How have we missed it, Ben?
Michael, we're going to see that this week.
We'd have to.
That's it.
You'd have to.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
You'd be mad not to.
You'd have to support the old Irish vampire fiction Tony Head industry.
I'm all for the Tony Head industry.
Very good, Benjamin. It's a good week for the Irishman suspense.
It's a good week. There's two things on one of them on the list, one of them not.
One of them on the list, one of them not on the list. Benjamin, I saw the trailer about 30 seconds before we started filming.
Oh, you little shit! You wouldn't have. Have put it in the Notion in the helpfully titled video bookmark thing and let me know. No,
ladies and gentlemen, the whole Notion thing has just become. It just defines our week now.
Full
Ben
of notions.
So obsessed with the Notion. He won't talk to me unless I put it in the Notion first. I tried to ring him the other day and he answered and said, "Put in the Notion," and hung up. It's just.
I've added a section for impromptu contact in the Notion. Please fill it in.
It's an absolute nightmare. It's controlling my entire life. Benjamin.
Yeah.
What is Beau afraid of?
Michael, I saw this trailer apropos of nothing, if you will.
Oh,
zing, zing, zing. And I saw this trailer and Michael, it looks fucking mental.
It's mad stuff going on, Benjamin. It's from the horror impresarios over at A24, Benjamin.
Yeah. Ari Aster's back.
Makers of one of your favourite recent films, Men. Was that?
No, that wasn't Ari Aster. Get out of here.
Was it not A24?
No, it was A24, but Hereditary and Midsommar are the Ari Aster gigs. And fair to say, probably two of the defining horror films of the last 10 years.
Certainly kind of the defining everything is creepy and awful era of horror.
Yeah, everything is creepy and awful, and you wouldn't want to have a family because, what's that? A connection with another human being? Oh, you'd want to get rid of that.
You want to get rid of that. That's probably coming back to haunt you.
What's that? You found acceptance? Oh, you probably shouldn't have gotten that. Whoa.
No, I tell you why, because
Whoa.
it was Midsummer's the whole time.
It was Midsummer's the whole time. But this looks to be a bizarre, I guess a Freudian nightmare comedy, Michael.
Is that what's going on? What's Freudian about it? I'm not very clear.
Well, it looks like a big old dream sequence, Michael. It looks like Beau, the aforementioned Beau, played by one Joaquin Phoenix, Michael.
The Joker, famously the Joker.
He's put on a bit of weight again, Michael. He's not jokery at all.
He's up and down.
And, Michael, it seems to be him going on an adventure to go outside and meet his mother.
Yes.
Now, Michael, if I were to put layers on this, I would think this is one man's delusional, regular journey to go see his mother, but has been heightened by his own neuroses.
Yes, it seems. I thought that's definitely the vibe I got from it.
Yeah.
Especially when he steps out into those chaotic scenes.
Yeah.
And I think we were supposed to get the impression that he's suffering from agoraphobia.
Or some such.
Or some such. And what is a perfectly normal street scene to us is utterly terrifying to him. And I don't know if that is what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is, I quite like the concept.
I liked it as well, Michael. I was immediately struck by this and I went, I'll be having some of that.
I quite like the concept, and I also kind of like the concept, and maybe now I'm just fan fictioning, but I like the concept that some of the other worlds might be the effects of medication he's on or incidents that happen.
Michael, you're spinning gold today. We need to take these down and pitch this to Post Cull at the WB. They're taking anything.
And Benjamin, they're really swinging back towards white men only. So we're back in with the WB.
We're back in, soon to be the official podcast of the WB. Myself and Michael.
We won't be able to keep the name. We'll just have to call it the WB podcast.
Yeah,
Benjamin,
the White Boys podcast. Yeah.
White Boys podcast. Yeah, I was gone there. You preempted me, Benjamin.
Yeah.
Look, what was I saying? I think that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
But if I've learned any lessons from the film Nope, you'll remember the film Nope, Benjamin. And I was super excited about it being an alien abduction mystery. And it turned out not to be. And I realised I'd written the film I wanted it to be in my head before going to see it.
Yeah, you do that a lot, Michael.
I'm trying not to do that with Beau is Afraid, because the trailer really pickled my wickle. It really piqued my interest.
I was very intrigued by it, Michael. It's not A24 isn't our usual wheelhouse, Michael.
You like the film Men, Benjamin. You said you were working on the sequel called Women, where a man goes to a village and all of the women are played by Ana de Armas. You told me not to talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, if you actually look at the Notion, it's under the section that says things not to talk about on the podcast.
Oh, look, it says here on the Notion, oh, geez, Mick, don't mention this on the podcast. I sent the spec script to Justin Roiland, my hero.
It's actually right next to the recording of me stanning Justin Roiland 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember the things we weren't supposed to talk about?
Yeah, I played it earlier. Though.
It's just above the Ana de Armas fetish stuff.
Yeah. The folder labelled Ana de Armas fetish stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we'll probably go see Beau is Afraid. I think it looks very good. I think it looks very intriguing.
Yeah, get involved. Get involved, baby.
I will.
Yeah, we will. Exactly. But come here to me, Michael. Michael, speaking of horror things that are inexplicably popular.
Go on.
Michael, just before Christmas, as we've previously stated on this podcast, Wednesday came out.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Wednesday came out just before Christmas.
The day Wednesday is a lesbian, is what you're telling me.
That is what I'm saying.
And it finally told its parents.
I don't know who did that, Michael. Could be a closeted Wednesday, I don't know.
Well, it came out is what you've just said.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it wants the world to know. It's going to let it show. Anyway, Michael, on Netflix, Wednesday came out.
It was a bad bit.
It was a terrible bit. That's why I abandoned it midway through.
Yeah, it was a bad bit.
Like midway through the week, also known as Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's a show on Netflix, Michael. And to say it's done gangbusters, Michael, third most watched televisual thing ever.
Incredible stuff, Ben. Incredible. It seems to have struck a bit of a chord with people, Ben, to the point where... we're not talking about the poll yet, are we?
We're not. Get out of here. The poll is later on.
That's after this.
For fuck's sake.
I'm sorry, Ben. I don't know how Notion works.
It's on the Notion.
I haven't a bloody Notion.
Oh, we're going to get a lot out of this, Michael. We're going to get a lot out of this.
Very, very good.
By which I mean we're getting nothing out of this.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
I've watched most of it. I'm going to put my hands up in the air and I say I haven't seen the last episode. So I don't know who the monster is, but I don't mind it being spoiled.
Right. Well,
so you bear that in mind.
Well, that's good news, Michael, because we're probably going to do 1 or 2 spoilers here. So the way this is going to work, ladies and gentlemen, just to keep you abreast of the situation, is we're going to do a little retrospective review of Wednesday. And then we're going to take a look at goth culture overall and why this might have struck a chord with quite so many people.
Oh, very good. Very nice, Ben.
So let's start with the Wednesday retrospective review. Now, Michael, I'm going to have to grouch or grinch this immediately and say, I don't understand what people are on about.
Oh.
I have watched this show, watched it with interest, watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
And while I'll say I was engaged, I didn't hate watch it, or I didn't, it was an enjoyable, entertaining series. I do not understand the gangbusters success of it.
Yeah, it's not amazing. It's pure CW.
It's pure CW. It's produced by Tim Burton. And I think this is important. Produced by Tim Burton. 4 episodes are directed by Tim Burton. But it's visually, characteristically, tonally, a bit all over the shop and a bit bland.
Yeah. Visually, it's closer to CW than it is Tim Burton. There are moments of Tim Burton in it.
Yeah, but not a lot.
It's Tim Burton. No, it's Tim Burton on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's not full-on Tim Burton.
No.
Now, there are good gothic bits to it. I mean, her bedroom is excellent.
Her bedroom is very good, Michael. That's straight out of Tim Burton.
Yeah, and the forest bits. The forests are all very atmospheric. The Thing is incredible.
Yeah, he's great. One of the most enjoyable things I've seen in ages.
Yes, definitely my top 5 things. The grisly bits are well done, if largely off camera.
Yeah.
And Jenna Ortega herself is spot on visually as Wednesday.
And quite good characteristically as Wednesday, I would argue.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching it with my good lady friend, and I took a big gap between the first 2 episodes and the later episodes, and I kind of forgot that she's wearing the same uniform as everybody, but in grayscale. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool. It really is a good visual that she's like this pool of black in a colourful world.
Yeah.
But
the
essentially the plot is Wednesday Addams goes to Hogwarts.
Okay.
And the Hogwarts stuff is as boilerplate as it comes.
Very, very dull.
Barely a step above School for Good and Evil.
Fractionally
a step above the School for Good and Evil. My favourite character, Benjamin, was Andy Strucker from your favourite show and mine, The Gifted. He played Xavier.
Oh, he was terrible.
Yeah, he's always like that. He plays the same character and everything. He's like
he was not good.
He's a scowly boy, Benjamin.
There's quite a few scowly boys in this, Michael, and none of them inspire a lot in me. Tyler is there as well as a love interest.
Yes, he's a real milksop.
He's a real milksop, Michael. So here's the thing, right? For me, Jenna Ortega is in a very different TV show to everybody else. And
that might be the point, though.
I think that is 100% the point, but I think they've forgotten a couple of different things. Jenna Ortega, visually, spot on.
Yes.
Like, visually, body language-wise, what a fantastic Christina Ricci reimagining, but still very close to 90s Wednesday Addams.
Yes.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Her dialogue is 90s Wednesday Addams. And I think one of the interesting things that they forgot is that in the original 90s reimagining, which is a bit of an oxymoron there. Apologies.
Weird sentence, Ben.
Yeah,
that's a weird sentence.
She had an ensemble cast to back Christina Ricci's weird, sardonic one-liners. So you had the likes of Angelica Houston who would guide that joke, and then Wednesday would land it with a punchline. Or you had Raul Julia with high energy as a nice foil for Wednesday's kind of calm, psychopathic level.
Yes.
You don't have that here.
No, and they kind of have to occasionally try and substitute in other characters. Like poor old Eugene the beekeeper.
Oh, he was great. He was one of my favourite characters in the whole show.
He was, but I mean, the whole time I was watching that going, this is Pugsley's job.
This is Pugsley's job. Why don't you just...
He's doing Pugsley's job.
Just let it be Pugsley.
Now, I mean, you could have sent Pugsley off to school with her, but... go on, sorry, I think I cut across you there.
No, it's just interesting. For me, the contrast is too strong in places. Like this is probably going to get us cancelled, Michael, of all the things we've ever done wrong on this show.
Uh-oh.
But she's not a likeable character.
Wednesday.
She's really mean.
Yeah, she's a horrible psychopath.
And she's not very redeeming. Like, there's no part where you go, oh, she made friends. I was like, don't give this woman an inch. What is going on?
I was watching it in the same kind of vein as that, Benjamin. I was watching it thinking, it would be a betrayal of the character of Wednesday Addams for her to make friends.
But I think it is.
Like, we don't want to watch a show where Wednesday Addams goes off to school and realises she's a psychopath and becomes a normie.
Yeah, because why would we want that?
That is against the point of the Addams family.
100%. 100%. And I think, I don't know, like, arguably, I think probably one of the other things that's been a bit of a problem, Michael, is that Jenna Ortega and Gwendolyn Christie seem to be much better actors than the people around them.
And very different heights.
Very different heights, Michael. I think that's probably the most noticeable thing about Gwendolyn Christie. Gwendolyn Christie is very enjoyable in that show.
Yes.
I think she's phenomenal. One of the biggest disappointments for me was Morticia and Gomez.
Cameo, baby.
I think, yeah, but Christ, Catherine Zeta-Jones was a dull Morticia.
Oh.
She was, and I, as you know, Michael, a great Catherine Zeta-Jones fan am I.
Yes, you've worn out your VHS cassette of the sexy strip fight from Zorro.
100%, Michael. I had to buy a second one on eBay. It cost me a fortune.
It cost you an absolute fortune.
Absolute fortune.
Once I gave you an eye exam and I could see the scene where she jumps over the lasers in Entrapment actually burnt into the back of your retinas.
Yeah, Michael, there's a section in the Notion called the Catherine Zeta-Jones Fund. That's where the money that we make from this podcast goes to supporting my Catherine Zeta-Jones habit.
Yeah.
So what's happening there, Michael, is she just kind of phones it in. And then poor El Luis Guzman, Michael, seems to give it a good old welly. But their chemistry is so off. I didn't get it. I was like, oh. And that entire arc for them, where we go back to their history and stuff, very shoehorned.
Very Harry Potter.
Very Harry Potter, Michael. And
your parents were here and I went to school with them and I didn't like them. But now I'm the headmaster.
And I don't know if I cared for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I cared for it.
I think the central problem with it is it's Wednesday goes to Hogwarts. And it is beat for beat Wednesday goes to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
She goes to Hogwarts. She meets the different cliques.
Yeah.
There's a monster. Her parents have some mysterious history with the place. The local townspeople are involved somehow and there's some sort of mystery going on. And only her special giftedness will be able to solve the mystery.
Yeah. I think that's true.
It's Wednesday. It's Goth Harry Potter.
And I think because maybe they had to sanitize... I think, we were promised an older kind of Wednesday Addams, a more mature Wednesday Addams story. And that's not what we got.
Well, the Addams Family has always been a comedy.
Yeah. And
this is not a comedy.
This is not a comedy, Michael. It takes itself probably a little bit too seriously.
It has moments of comedy.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but they're not... They're very forced comedy, I would have thought, Michael. It's like Wednesday encounters a normie thing and reacts as Wednesday. Go.
Brilliant.
And it's not necessarily what you'd call a natural comedic moment.
I liked when she was in the morgue, Benjamin, and Thing rescued her from the mortuary drawer. And she said 5 more minutes. Because that's what I say when I have to get up in the morning.
Yeah, but
she's in like a mortuary because she's gothy.
She's big old gothy girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's
tiny.
That's interesting.
She's a tiny little gothy.
And I don't know. I couldn't get into it. But maybe, I think you might have hit the nail on the head, Michael. Maybe it is Harry Potterdom. Maybe it's people seeking out a similar Harry Potter vibe. Because it's not so hot to be into Harry Potter these days, Michael, because J.K. Rowling is a big old baddie.
Yeah, but J.K. Rowling, the old left-wing lunatics on the internet don't like J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, so it's just one or the other, Michael. You've always to pick one of the lunatics.
You have to pick one of the lunatics.
It's just the way podcasting works these days, Michael. We've aligned ourselves to the left-wing lunatics, but hopefully not if WB puts bloody pen to paper.
We'll shill for anything.
We'll shill, full stop.
We will shill anything. Justin Roiland's new series.
Oh, God.
Rick and Morty go to prison. Oh, jeez, Rick.
Rick and Morty defend their position on underage sexting. Yeah. But anyway, Michael, we did a bit of digging. My initial assumption here was maybe it's goth. Maybe it's something to do with goth. Maybe it's 90s Wednesday and Adam kids going, oh my God, look, it's goth.
Go on.
And so I did a bit of digging, Michael, into goth.
Oh, you did a bit of digging into goth.
As a concept. Yeah, I did, yeah. And so that's what we're going to take a look at today, Michael. We're going to take a look at goth.
Is that why you put the poll up on the Instagram?
Michael, it is why I put a poll up on the Instagram today, Michael. It was by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this and you took part in our poll, thank you very much. You made our Monday.
Yeah, very good.
You made our Monday. It was
most successful poll we've ever done.
Pretty sad that that's what makes our Mondays, but hey,
yeah,
we'll take it.
Benjamin, we have the results of the poll here. Will we read them out?
Go on, you read them out there, Michael.
Benjamin, we had four candidates. I proposed 5, but you shut me down.
Yeah.
And we had 4 candidates for best goth ever.
Yes.
We had Elvira, Benjamin, the Mistress of the Dark.
Classic.
We had Eric Draven, also known as the Raven.
He's the Crow, you fuck.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to upset the Draven fans. We had Morpheus, Benjamin, Dream of the Endless.
Yeah.
And we had young Wednesday Addams, as played by Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Benjamin, Eric Draven ran away with it.
Ran away with it, Michael.
46% of the votes went to Eric Draven.
People are so into the Crow, Michael.
He is the quintessential goth.
What the fuck, Michael?
Elvira was second, Benjamin.
I would have lost money on that.
You would have lost a lot of money on it with 19% of the vote. Poor old Wednesday Addams, Ben, despite being the flavour of the moment, was only third with 19%. That's less than 1 in 5 voters, Benjamin.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Morpheus, Dream of the Endless, an absolute shitshow of a performance, coming in with 12% of the votes, Benjamin. A little over 1 in 10 of the voters. And Ben, we put up a quick little question saying who did we miss? And you got it in the neck, Ben.
Oh, Michael.
From the fans.
Michael, they bloody harpooned me.
They had no time for you because we had nearly as many people wrote in Morticia as voted for Morpheus.
Yeah, we had comments like "fuck you, Colopy, you're an absolute waste." Oh no, sorry, that's my personal Instagram. Sorry.
Yeah. That was your dad.
That was my dad.
He asked you to go to the supermarket and get some eggs, and you forgot. He said, "Oh, geez, Dad, I'm doing an internet poll. I'll go afterwards." And then you forgot. And now he's not best pleased.
But yeah, so we forgot a few people there, Michael. And it's probably important to note here at the moment. One of the people that we forgot, Michael, is one of our favourite bloody guests.
The OG, the original gangster of podcasting, the original glop.
The OG glop. It's Rachel. We forgot Rachel. And Rachel, we're so sorry. If you're listening, you're the gothiest of goths.
As far as we know, she invented goth culture in Ireland, Ben.
That's what I heard.
As far as we know.
And there's quite a few academic articles on the line that back that up.
Yeah. Back it up. Benjamin, my internet is glitching to shit here. Like, it looks like you're in a rave. I hope this is recording properly.
I hope it is too.
I'm sure it is. Don't move too much.
I'll try and stop, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks.
But anyway,
tell us about your goth research.
We got some. Yeah, so I kind of went digging here, Michael, to find some stuff, and boy, oh boy, Michael, did I get some good stuff. Loads of interesting stuff here, Michael.
Benjamin, did you just say I got some good stuff?
I got some good stuff. I wish I had said that. That would have been much better than my boring regular English.
Very good.
So, Michael, I took a look in kind of a broad sweep, Michael. I wanted to find out the historical context of the old Gothic culture. And then I wanted to have a look at Gothic culture in America in particular. Because let's face it, Michael, it had its roots in the UK, but it's very much an American phenomenon from the 90s onwards.
Is it, though?
Get out of here, it is.
Benjamin, obviously you've never hung around the central bank in Dublin's city centre.
Au contraire, my friend.
Go on.
I was, in fact, one of the little dweeby people in my glasses with my long hair and my System of a Down hoodie awkwardly sat about the central bank.
Yeah, but you were an emo, Ben.
I was an emo. My generation didn't get to be goth.
No,
We just
weren't cool enough.
We just got to be emo. It wasn't the same, Michael. But I took a look at that, and then I took a look at, speaking of the misrepresentation of goth subculture, Michael, that'll also be on the thing. Benjamin Colopy, a misrepresentation of goth subculture. But that'll also be there. And then I wanted to take a look at kind of, oh, sorry, I bumped off the mic there. I'll go again. I wanted to take a look at where the lineage of Wednesday kind of came from. And so I had a look at a little bit of that as well. And that brought me to the fascinating cultural practice of unothering, Michael. I've had a time of it.
Unothering?
I've had a time of it.
Unothering?
I know.
You've been on Reddit again by the sounds of this.
I've been on Reddit and Tumblr, Michael, and ooh-ee, baby.
Ooh-ee.
So as I said there, a lot of this gothic stuff comes from, it's straight out of the punk movement. It's a branch shoot off of that. So punk really had its moment in the 60s and 70s. And then in the late 1970s, early 1980s, we get the goth movement on from that. So the goth movement is a lot of the punk aesthetic kind of turned up to 11, Michael, and then less violence. So those are the core kind of elements that come out of that.
Violence down, contrast up,
Yeah.
saturation down.
Yeah, a little bit like that. That's pretty much a spot on kind of look at that. And the peak of that, Michael, the halcyon days of the gothic movement would have been the early 90s. Late 80s, early 90s. That would have been peak gothic at the time.
Like a big gothic spire.
Like a big gothic spire reaching into the heart of civilization, Michael. That's what you
With
had.
a murder of crows on it, Ben.
Yeah, just a big old flock of the fuckers just circling.
Yeah. Just circling around it, and a creepy man hanging off the side of it with one hand.
Yeah, and instead of cawing, they'd be quoting Edgar Allan Poe.
And the man hanging off the side would be Richmond from the IT crowd.
Yeah, that'd be it. There, you got it. That was a common or garden site in Dublin and London in the early 90s.
It kind of was. It kind of was, though.
Except it wasn't Richmond, it was Rachel.
It was Rachel. Yeah. She was just hanging off the church spire and going... and anyone who looked at her.
Anyone. But yeah, so the horror and fantasy genres really fed into that. We had huge cultural moments for that in things like The Sandman and Morpheus and Death of the Endless. Those were all heavily goth aesthetics at the time.
Robert Smith
was around doing Robert Smithy things. It was a whole thing. So anyway, that, Michael, keeps going. That becomes largely thing. And where it comes from and where it becomes an American phenomenon is as a form of social resistance. So I took a look at this, and why it reaches its peak, Michael, really around the 1980s is because of Ronald Reagan. Much like everything else, Michael. It's old Ronnie.
I knew it was Ronnie. Was it Goths who tried to kill him?
No, but Ronald Reagan really rose to power with that famous phrase, the shining city on the hill. You had that, stupid phrase in that speech about America being an icon for the world. And what that was kind of a dog whistle call for a return to the golden age of America in the 1950s and 40s. This idea of the nuclear family and, all that rubbish. Okay?
You've used a very loaded modern term there, Ben, in dog whistle.
I did, yeah, but it fits. It's retroactively applied, but it fits.
Okay. Very interesting.
The reason the term dog whistle applies to it is because what that was really calling for, Michael, was let's get back to normal, standard American stuff.
Only normie stuff from now on. Get down off that spire.
What are you doing up there, girl? Get down.
Get down. Someone give me the spray bottle.
And that's really how we looked at, that kind of thing. So Reagan brought all that in. And in direct response to that, the goth movement received kind of a bolstering, because there's nothing more other than goth. Goth is like a glaring in-your-face middle finger to established order and normie culture.
To being a big normie.
It's a big thing. Like, it's just a big fuck you. And a lot of that came from a concept that's been coined when they study goths like this. It's Philip Jenkins is a man who does a lot of the work in that. He wrote a really interesting essay called The Perception of Goths and the Evolution of Goth. And they're really interesting. But anyway, he goes into detail about something called the carnivalesque. So the Gothic is a traditional thing that comes from the Victorian era. It's all over the novels. Death, decay, and it's an outlet against Victorian repression towards, what's that little intrusive thought? Put it in a novel.
Look, is that a woman in that window there? Or am I dead?
Yeah, and then another classic of, man, I would love to have sex with that woman. I'm going to put it in a novel.
Oh God, she's dead though. and it's on the moors.
And it was grand to push that, Michael, and say, yeah, great. And it was like, it's just a novel. It's fine. You can have those thoughts if it's fiction. Fiction.
You're sexy Draculas.
And an easy way to make something a fiction was to have a supernatural element. It's a ghost. It's fine. The author isn't a pervert. He just likes to write a story.
About sexy ghosts.
Now, I'm probably being very demeaning to Victorian authors calling them perverts, but let's face it, they were. All right,
Ronald Reagan, calm down.
So, the carnivalesque, on the other hand, is the American counterpart to that kind of classic English Gothic. And the carnivalesque emphasizes the importance of the grotesque, the absurd, and the ironic. Yeah, so if you wanted to look at that, a lot of classic British Gothic is very tame. There's a haunting, and the scariest thing about that thing is that it's a ghost or it's a vampire.
There's a woman in the window. What does it do? Nothing particularly. It's just unsettling.
It's just very unsettling. It's put me off my constitution.
Get the vicar.
On the other hand, what we have in the carnivalesque and the more American counterpart of that, Michael, is someone like Edgar Allan Poe, whose bread and butter is absolute terror and oddness, like a talking fucking raven.
Imagine. Ravens can't talk, though.
So they can, but they don't recite poetry.
They can if you ask them.
They can if you swing off a spire and...
Yeah.
Inspire them.
Gives a poem.
Gives a poem. So the carnivalesque kind of took over, and that became a real klaxon call for people that didn't want to align to this Reagan-esque super America golden age kind of thing. But where it all went tits up, Michael, and where goth kind of became demonized in culture is in the 1990s with the awful events of the Columbine Massacre.
Oh, were those lads goths?
No, so this is where it gets interesting, Michael, and this is why I really emphasize the demonization of it. So Sabrina Newman writes a really, really interesting article called The Evolution of Perceptions of the Goth Subculture.
Benjamin, who the fuck is Sabrina Newman?
She's an academic, Michael.
An academic on this podcast?
Michael, I've done a lot of digging this week. It's our first podcast back. I'm in it to win it.
He's got loads of time.
I'm in it to win it. I actually don't.
He's fucking in it to win it.
This was snatched in between commutes. It's pretty impressive for the amount that I've got done.
So some academic wrote this. Go on.
So anyway, the quote goes, not only do television shows demonize goths, but news and mainstream media do as well, especially in the 1990s. They are even misidentified delinquents and murderers as goth solely for how they dressed. Okay?
Benjamin.
Yeah.
I apologise for cutting across you, but I lived through the 90s. I know you did too, but you were probably too small.
I was too small. I was the little boy.
It was so fun. It's so funny looking back on the 90s and watching things like on the news, where it'd be a slow news day and the news would be like, and next in the news, we've gone to Dublin and we've interviewed some goths. There'd be like the most normie looking presenter possible holding a microphone up to someone who's a bit half-hearted goth and going, why do you dress like this? Is it because you want to? Yes. Fucking great stuff. Like, it was almost reminiscent of how the mainstream press treats cosplay these days.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen mainstream press going to Comic-Cons and asking stupid questions and almost having a little bit of a superior attitude.
Yeah.
To the whole
Did
thing.
you do all this yourself? Did you?
Did you make this all yourself? And would you be embarrassed to wear it if your parents were watching? No. Well, very good. We've not got much news today, so back to you in the studio, Sharon Di Violo.
And come here to me. You don't have a normal life outside of this, do you? You couldn't possibly. Oh, would you wear that to the office? Would you?
Yeah, and that's what it was like seeing goths on television in the 90s. It was like, it's a fucking slow news day. Let's just go point a camera at the goths and see if they fucking turn into bats or whatever.
So yeah, the Columbine massacre, I suppose, was the big peak of that, Michael. And they were falsely identified as goths in the media because it was an easy scapegoat alignment. A bit like video games as we went on. You know, everyone blamed video games for a while, and you know, then we blamed extremism, and now we have domestic terrorists in the US, and we don't talk about them because they're white. We don't want anything like that. That'd be very awkward. But we had a lot of that, Michael. And then what's interesting to me, and what Wednesday has to do with all this, is Wednesday very much kind of embraces that rhetoric. In the show, it's normies versus outcasts is the phrase that we use. Outsiders by any other name, Michael, in that particular case. But it's really interesting. That's the central debate of what's happening in Wednesday. And it's a very tame form of that discourse. It's an inclusivity politics without the actual risk of being another. So what I mean by that is, Michael, you know, in some of these communities, and especially if we look at marginalized groups as a whole, those communities are in real danger depending on where they are in the world. So in some countries, it's not okay to be gay. And in some countries, it's not okay to be transgender. In other countries, it's not great to be anything other than white. Do you know what I mean?
Hogwarts. Yep.
Hogwarts, not great.
For example.
Not great, off the top of your head. So, but those are very risky stories to tell, and they carry a lot of impact. This is an easy way for people to engage with that kind of politics. Okay? And there's a line in the show where, I think it's Enid, is that the name of her roommate?
Yes, she's kind of a werewolf.
She's kind of a werewolf sometimes if the plot demands it. So what happens there, Michael, is she says, insert your favourite marginalised group here at the end of her quote about freaks, outcasts, goblins, ghouls, that kind of thing. And what it is a very safe way for people to engage with, you know, marginalised communities and feel better about, you know, oh, well, I would never do that to somebody, without the risk and real life kind of, not trauma is too strong a word, but the implication that, you know, things could go horribly wrong for some of these groups, you know? So it's an easy way for people to do that, Michael, if that makes sense.
And
yeah,
it skirts the issue a little bit by having the outcasts being white and black and Asian and gay and straight and women and men, and the normies be white and black and Asian and gay and straight. I don't think there are any gay subtexts in it, but there's always season 2.
We'll get some. The werewolf metaphor is largely treated as a transgender metaphor, and
is that what
yeah,
it is?
it's largely treated as a gay metaphor and stuff like that in reverse. So Enid can't transform into a werewolf, and her mother wants her to go to werewolf camp to activate her transformation.
Benjamin. I see, in reverse. You see, because as you well know, I suffer from metaphor blindness.
You do, Michael. You see, everything's grey to you.
I don't know what you mean.
It's all a grey area.
No, I don't get it.
No, you wouldn't. That's all right, Chief. Just take a look at the next slide.
You see, but I was continuing.
I got it. I got the joke, Michael.
I hope you got your penny's worth from that joke there, you son of a bitch.
So, Michael, another thing that Wednesday is kind of attempting to do, I think, is sexy storytelling.
Go on.
And that's, you know, if we look at the TV lineage of Wednesday, that's all born of Riverdale. Wednesday is very much the Addams Family if the Riverdale writers got a hold of it.
Yeah, okay. It's a little bit less sexualized than Riverdale.
A little bit, but we haven't seen season 2 yet.
A good bit, yeah. I think it's a good bit less sexualized than Riverdale, to be fair.
Yeah, but the intense risk is there nonetheless, Michael.
Yeah, it's still like sexually charged for sure, but it's not as look at these 25-year-old models
Yeah, that's true.
going to high school.
We kind of got away with that. But I think maybe the core of it, Michael, is, and one of the things that saves Wednesday is that it comes from, all I could think when I was watching it, Michael, was Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, Paul Feig's.
Paul Feig's.
1999 classic.
Yeah, Freaks and Geeks. And a lot of what that was representing the weird kids at school, if that makes sense. This time, it's the weird kids with one of your least favorite things, metaphors, Michael. They're basically metaphors. Yeah, I know. But it's the same appeal. It's, look at these kids that are so misunderstood. Wouldn't you like to know what they're all about? Da 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 da. But where I think Wednesday kind of falls down, Michael, is it's a very sanitized version of all these different tropes. The gothic elements in Wednesday are not all that gothic. Like, they're not scary. They're not unnerving, because our central character is unflappable. Like, there's nothing that happens to her that she's not ready for. The scariest moment might be when, and spoilers here for Wednesday if you haven't seen it, when they resurrect the main baddie, the pilgrim bad guy.
Oh, he's a pilgrim, Ben. He's coming to get you.
So, that's a little bit scary, but not really. And then everything else outside of that is not all that scary, Michael. There's nothing truly horrifying about Wednesday. It's very tame by comparison. And more importantly, when things become realistic, one of the things that set Freaks and Geeks apart in 1999, Michael, was there was quite a lot of in-depth character work and storytelling. There's very little character growth for anybody other than Wednesday.
And even then, I don't think Wednesday is the type of character who should be growing.
But that's the whole shtick of the Addams Family. The world changes, but the Addams Family doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. They're resistant to it.
And so I think one of the great goals of that TV show, Michael, was to un-other marginalized groups. And we've talked about othering on this before, where we dehumanize characters to make us kind of easier to dislike them. It's always easier to root for a baddie's demise if they're not human.
Yes.
And that's the practice of othering. But there's a vehement attempt in a lot of different medias to un-other, especially growing out of the goth culture, where, monsters and spooky goblin-y ghouly boys are...
And Rachel.
They're the real heroes all along. And I think in their attempt to un-other that much, they took all the kind of spooky joy that might have come out of Wednesday away from it.
I wouldn't say all. I do agree, but I wouldn't say all.
That's fair.
Because it's better than Riverdale. It's a long way better than Riverdale. It's better than most of that genre of stuff. It's better than Sabrina. It's not an all-time classic.
It's not. No. But it's, as you say, Michael, time will tell. As you say.
No follow-up to that.
Yeah, fair. Ladies and gentlemen,
that is what I say.
We clearly don't get what made Wednesday so popular. Maybe you do. Could you possibly get in touch with us in a few different places?
Oh, very good.
You can find us on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, seomrabeag.com.
It means a tiny room in Irish.
You can find us on Instagram at Sure Look, Sure Listen Podcast.
You can. There's polls and everything.
There's polls and everything. You can take part in a poll and get mentioned on this very podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, the best way to get in touch with either of us is to hop up on the Discord, where we have lively debates with folks about various...
Not for a few weeks now.
No, but we were on a hiatus.
It'll kick back in.
It'll kick back in. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join us in a week's time, where we'll be taking a look at The Last of Us and the horrifying science behind what inspired that particular apocalypse.
Ben, it's science. It's my turn.
Yeah. And we're going to have a brand new segment called Explain It to Ben, where I struggle to grasp even the most basic of scientific concepts.
I won't be able to explain it with metaphors, though, Ben, and we're really going to struggle next week.
That's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
And we will see you next Tuesday.